retire your role as the healer. It's not your job to fix your partner. If you feel like you want to impart your wisdom on your partner so he self-improves, so he likes himself, so he can be a healthier version of himself when relating with you, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself, and you're actually pouring a lot of your time and love and energy into something that might kick back at you. You can't heal other people. You just can't. You can only heal yourself. So please step away from being that kind of teacher, that emotional support system, that healer. You're his partner, not his therapist. Hello beautiful people, I'm Alessia. I'm really excited to be talking with you about relationships and how our relationships with men can get a bit out of hand, and how we can end up devoting too much of ourselves to the men in our lives. How we can lose sight of who we are when we're putting so much into our partnerships, our romantic situations. I think this is an important video for many women, for many people, for myself to film. I look back at young me and I think, wow, you put a lot into your relationship, into that one man, to the point that you lost sight of everything else, really. And that might have been exciting and distracting from everything that was going on that wasn't great, but it also was very limiting. And it's hard to come into yourself and know what you're all about when you're so invested in somebody else. I just want women to be more invested in themselves. That's kind of the overarching message of all my videos. So yeah, if you enjoy that kind of content, please do subscribe, because I really do appreciate that kind of support. So women from a very young age are taught to be nurturers, to care for others, to be accommodating. We're taught to minimize our needs so we're not an inconvenience. We're conditioned not to live for ourselves, but to make everybody else's lives easier, especially men's lives. We're pushed not to become the most authentic versions of ourselves, but the most likable versions of ourselves. Why? Because that benefits patriarchy. It benefits men. If we're not tapping into what really makes us happy, but rather trying to look beautiful and be a certain way that means that men are comfortable around us, of course, that gives men the power and leaves us disempowered unless we're attached to a man who's validating us. So it's no surprise that as women we end up in relationships with men that consume us, that become self-sacrificial, that lead us to hyperfixate on our partner's desires rather than our own desires. I think women do spend a lot of time thinking about other people, about their partner's needs. You know, what does he find attractive? What does he want to do today? What can I do to make him feel better about himself? You might find that you spend a lot of time, an unhealthy amount of time with your partner. So much so that you kind of lose sight of yourself, of who you are, of what you want to do when you're not around them. You might often find yourself codependently attached to your romantic partners. This might be a habit of yours, and I actually really relate. It's something that I've had to, over the years, notice, reflect on, talk about in therapy and work on and move away from. When we enter relationships, whether that's romantic ones or familial or friendships, we do tend to adapt to kind of fit the dynamic of that relationship. And sometimes this adaptation of ourselves can suppress us, can make us less bright versions of ourselves, less happy, less inspired, less us. And I actually think a lot of us can stay stuck in these relationships that are just so consuming, where you become one, because we're fearful of developing our own sense of self, of leaning into self-validation and being more of a boundaried person, more of an unapologetic version of ourselves, that can be really scary to us because maybe we're scared of rejection or people not liking us or being disapproved of. Our relationships to the people in our lives say a lot about our relationship with ourselves, particularly our romantic connections. Relationships can dim your sparkle. If you're dating a man, he's grown up in a world that is designed for him. So it's likely that he will reinforce dynamics that disempower you. A lot of men might, pride themselves on being a feminist, on caring about women, on not being sexist, but unless they've actually done the work to really look at themselves, that's all chat. It takes a really self-aware, proactive, curious, non-defensive man to not perpetuate patriarchal ideals, sexism. And girlies, we should expect this. We should expect men to do the work, to be proactive, to seek out therapy, to watch videos by women explaining what it's like to exist in a world that just punches down on them. They should be invested in supporting women, especially if they're dating women, In a world where women are taught to kind of prioritize romantic love and Mr. Right, it's no wonder that we lose ourselves in those romantic relationships. It's no wonder we get into these kind of unhealthy habits and ways of relating with our partners. I look back on little Alessia and I just think, you learned so many silly lessons growing up, through watching the films that you watch, reading the books that you read, seeing other people and how they related to their partners, other women. Like, you learnt that men saved you and taught you how to exist and protected you. You didn't learn that you could do all of that for yourself, that you could save yourself and protect yourself and learn the ways of the world yourself. And that clearly then informed how I related to men in romantic settings. If all of this resonates with you, by the way, I want you to know that you can address this. If you're somebody who pours way too much energy into their partner and feels almost like it's a compulsion, it's something they can't control, I want you to know that you can shift away from that. You don't have to become this watered down version of yourself every time you get into a relationship. Generally speaking, you have more power and say and control than you realise. So I've got some really powerful points to share with you. I'm particularly excited about my last point, so definitely stick around and watch that. I'm going to share these points and empower you to choose you, even when you're in a relationship. And a lot of these tips are catered for women dating men. But this video might resonate with people in queer relationships too. You might get something from this video, and this is very much a space for everybody. I welcome my fellow LGBTQ+ friends. The first thing that I kind of want to share with you is watch what makes you like yourself. Watch films that make you think, I can do it. I can go for my dream job. I'm intelligent. I'm beautiful. I want you to watch media that empowers you, that inspires you. And I know many people might be thinking right now, it's just TV, it's just a film, it's a bit of escapism. What does it matter what I'm watching? I think a lot of us willy-nilly choose our TV programs and films, but I really want to encourage you to pick carefully and wisely, because what you watch informs how you think. Maybe not consciously, but the messages that we take in from the films and TV shows we watch, they live in the subconscious, and the subconscious does impact how we hold ourselves, how we navigate in relationships, how we feel about ourselves. So watch what you want to watch, and don't let your partner stop you from watching the films that make you smile. You might have different taste in movies. That's okay. You don't have to sit down every single night and watch TV together. Even though I know it's very normalised that. sitting in front of the TV for hours watching the same programme as your partner, and that's your kind of bonding time. I think we should kind of make more time for solo watching things that make us feel good. A lot of the time, what's going to entertain him is probably not going to make you feel great about yourself as a woman. There are so many films and TV shows that are made by men for men that perpetuate stereotypes that are harmful to women and women's self-esteem, more specifically. If you're constantly watching shows that talk about women in really demeaning ways, oh, she's so rude, she's just way too assertive, she needs to pipe down, she needs to get in the kitchen, she needs to look more beautiful, she needs to lose weight, it's going to impact you. It is. And it's really easy to just, put on whatever, suits both parties. I'm happy to watch that, it'll be fun. He really wants to watch it, okay, we'll compromise. I get that every now and then. But men tend to have the luxury of being able to watch a film and not be demeaned. I think as women, we need to be way more picky with what we watch, and it's really quite annoying, but it's important. It's really important. Because think about how much time you spend watching TV. A lot of time. Hours every day. Please be careful with what you expose yourself to. A film that really empowered me recently, that I really encourage you to go and see on your own, actually, if you can, is Wicked. Wicked made me feel so seen and made me feel so motivated and excited for my future and loving of myself. My second tip for how to stop living for him is to carve out time to spend on your own, weekly. When I'm alone, I get to prioritise the things that make me feel good, whether that is dancing, singing randomly, drawing, watching podcasts that teach me things about myself, self-improvement podcasts. I love learning, so I really prioritise that when I'm on my own. And I love that feeling of being like, I understand the world a bit clearer now after hearing that bit of information. Alone time just makes me feel so much more grounded and more confident in myself. When I spend time in my own company, I come back to myself and I get to really tune in to what makes me feel good and what's important for me. But if you're always with your partner, always kind of prioritising them, it's really easy to lose sight of what you want. And if you struggle with alone time, if you don't really like being in your own company, that's definitely something worth looking at. Maybe reaching out to a therapist about or journaling about, because I actually think there's a common denominator between somebody who really avoids alone time and somebody who's in a codependent relationship. They kind of go hand in hand. The third thing that I really want you to do so that you can be more of a self-sufficient, healthily attached person is retire your role as the healer. It's not your job to fix your partner. If you feel like you want to impart your wisdom on your partner so he self-improves, so he likes himself, so he can be a healthier version of himself when relating with you, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself and you're actually pouring a lot of your time and love and energy into something that might kick back at you. You can't heal other people. You just can't. You can only heal yourself. Just like other people can't tell you, you need to do this and you need to do that, then you'll be fine. You have to decide to want to do those things. And often if people are telling you to do things, you reject it. So please step away from being that kind of teacher, that emotional support system, that healer for your partner, and rather just focus on being his partner, his equal. I I think as women, a lot of us take on the emotional role, the kind of support system role, the I'm going to fix you and help you and teach you everything you need to know so you can feel better role. I think a lot of us take that on because we're kind of socialized to do that. A lot of films depict women taking on that role, so we all think, oh, it's just what I do, it's just normal, I'm a woman. But it doesn't need to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way, because it is so draining trying to heal other people, but so rewarding healing yourself. You know, you can share with him all the things that you've learnt recently from listening to self-improvement podcasts, but if he doesn't want to grow and evolve and learn, he can choose to tune you out. You can talk and talk at your partner and try to say these things that are going to make him heal and become a better communicator. But if he doesn't want to listen, he doesn't have to. It can go in one ear and out the other. And often that does happen when people are not open to healing. You know, so I really encourage you to focus on definitely supporting your partner and listening when they're willing to open up. But take a step back from trying to fix them and trying to make them better versions of themselves. It's not your job, my love. And I know you come from such a good place, but don't do it. He needs to have the motivation and the drive to become a better version of himself. It needs to come from him, not you. You're his partner, not his therapist. My next little pearl of wisdom that I've kind of learned over the years is journaling can be really validating. Hearing your own struggles back after you've written them down, when you're reading them, can be so empowering, especially when you're venting about the struggles between you and your partner and how your partner makes you feel. When we journal, we kind of give ourselves a safe space to speak about our feelings really freely when they're really raw as well, without having to be careful with our words. Journaling can be such a great thing for us women, because I think a lot of the time we're trying to hold it all together and not get emotional. But actually, we should do this, because when we express our emotions, we really get to move through them and not be stuck in them. We get to process them and heal from them and move on. We can validate our own emotions if we hold space for them, and journaling is a way to hold space. So is having a cry, having a chat to your best friends, whatever way you want to do it. Carve out that space to vent freely. As women, we're told to not complain. We are taught to kind of suppress our emotions so much. And that is so limiting and disempowering. So please express. Obviously, we want to communicate with our partners and let them know where we're at, but we kind of have to do so in a thoughtful and careful way, because otherwise we can trigger our partners to get defensive and be really upset. So I think it's really wise to have a space where you can really just say everything in the most raw and angry way that we want to. When we don't wait on others to hear us out, when we hear ourselves out, we self-validate. It's so important to be able to do that, because that enables us to be our own support system. Obviously, we want other people to validate us, and they should do that if they love us. But we should also be able to validate ourselves and hold space for ourselves. Pouring all our frustration onto the page can be really therapeutic. Another thing that I want to share with you that is a great antidote to being in a codependent relationship and prioritizing a man is carving out time to spend with your friends, with women. When I spend time with other women, there is this sense of ease, and I feel like I don't have to over-explain things because they just get it. Women are great at holding space for women. That kind of mutual understanding is such a beautiful thing, and feeling understood is liberating. I know we're taught to compete with each other and not trust each other and not confide in each other and be jealous of each other. That's patriarchy. We need to bin that. And actually we need to develop deep connections with other women, because that's where we heal. That's where such profound healing takes place. When we feel understood as a collective. Okay, the last thing that I want to say to you, that I am excited to say, because I think a lot of women probably need to hear it, but it's not going to apply to everyone. End your relationship with him. Dump him. If he doesn't make you feel good about yourself, if you rarely feel inspired, happy, connected when you're around him, you do not need to continue dating him. And I know that might sound really simple, and maybe that might scare you. Even though he doesn't make you feel good about yourself, it might scare you, the thought of not being with him. Maybe because you're scared of being on your own, or of not being in a relationship in general. Whatever the reason, I think it's important to explore that, because ultimately being with somebody who doesn't allow you to thrive and be the most beautiful inside and out version of yourself on your own terms, it's just not worth it. Now, you might be watching this video and thinking, I really love the person I'm with. They're really special and beautiful, and they make me feel really good most of the time. Breaking up with him is clearly not the answer for you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that often feel like a watered down version of themselves when they're around their partner. I'm talking to the people that, on reflection, have their partner around as company, as a time filler, as somebody to go places with, as somebody to stick by your side so you're not alone. To those people, I want to say this isn't love or healthy companionship. If what I'm saying is really hitting you right now, I've got some journal prompts for you to help you further reflect. How does this man add to your life? How does he make you feel about yourself? How does he treat the people and things that you love? That's a big one. Do you see a future with him? A future that you want to be a part of? Sometimes people act as obstacles to us finding our true selves. At times we hold on to these people to avoid facing our pain and standing up and challenging ourselves to strive for our dream lives and dream selves. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to comment in the comment section below, I will respond to you. I make an effort every time that I post a video to go back and read through the comments and comment back. I really value the connection I have with the people that watch my videos. It's the most human side to creating videos. I really want that interaction and to feel the effect of what I put out there, because I put a lot of care into my research and my scripts and my presentation. So yeah, please comment, subscribe, like, and I'll see you soon with another video.